on. I'm finna go to bed in a little bit, but I wanted to get up here and talk for a while because a lot of things have been happening spiritually, and also I got some big achievements to share with everybody. So let's start with my achievements because I'm too excited. Okay, first one. Boom. I am officially a graduate. My apprenticeship, Film Connection for film production and editing. Officially a movie director. And I just can't wait to get out in the work field, honestly. I'm so tired of working these minimum wage jobs. I'm grateful that I've had these jobs, but at the same time, I had no passion for them. You know, like, I have liked the jobs that I worked at. Like, my last job, I really liked the job, but it was some things going on there that kind of made me like the job less. But overall, I love that job. So, second achievement, I'm moving out on the 13th. Today is the 3rd of August, and on the 13th, I'm moving out. I got an apartment. Also, I got a job at the apartment where I work at. So not only am I moving out, but I'm getting a new job. And because I'm working at the apartment complex that I'm moving into, I'm getting the rent cheaper, and everything is included. It's a studio apartment, so I'm gonna be by myself, no roommates. Thankfully. Like, I didn't mind moving in with people, but moving into my first place, I want it to be by myself. Not only because, like, I'm just used to living with a bunch of people and I just want to experience something different, but I feel like being by myself would help me in my spiritual journey as well, because I've realized that, you know, especially with college kids, like, they do a lot, you know. Like, when I went down to Florida and I was staying with my boyfriend, my ex-boyfriend, we were doing a lot of drinking, doing a lot of smoking, taking a lot of shrooms, you know, just every day. And it got to be exhausting, but they did it every day, and their roommates were drunk every day. And I was like, yeah, this is just, like, not the type of environment I want to be around. Like, especially with the faith I have now, I know that things like that can still tempt me, and why be around things that I know can tempt me, you know? So I wanted to live by myself so I can stay away from those temptations. Okay, so I wanted to share with y'all what I said about things have been happening spiritually. I wanted to share a few dreams, a few messages that I've received lately from God, and a few attacks I've had from the devil. Okay, so I'm going to start with this really intense dream I had maybe 4 days ago. Sorry, I'm still congested. We just came from Golden Corral like 2 hours ago. Oh, we went to see Gino Jennings today. Gino Jennings. Best service I've been to. Even though at the beginning they were singing so much, and half of the people, Lord forgive me, half of the people got up there could not sing. And I was trying so hard not to laugh. I was like, no, you're in church, please. They're praising the Lord, let them do it. Like, but it was so bad. And then my parents and my siblings didn't make it no better over here looking at me like, just trying not to look at nobody, but it was too much. But it was a great service. I loved it. My grandfather and his wife came down here. They had a new baby, and I got to hold my broncle. Yeah. No, it's not a broncle, because he's my uncle, right? No, he's just my uncle. It's my great uncle. I got to hold my great uncle. So, yeah, that happened. Anyway, I wanted to share with you guys a dream I had about 4 days ago. So, I'm going to tell you guys what led up to the dream, what I feel like made me have that dream in the first place, and then I'm going to tell you the dream. So, for 8 months, my grandmother has been living with us. I'm not going to spill all of my grandmother's mess on the internet because, that's not my business to tell. But she's been staying with us for 8 months, and as she's been with us, it's been really hard because me and my grandmother haven't come to terms with certain things, and for some of the things that I've heard about her doing, it's made me feel a certain way about her, and it took me a long time to get over that. Honestly, I cried about it, I prayed about it. I felt bad because I was treating her a certain way because of something she did years ago, but it was really hard to get over it because it was the fact that the things that I was told was her doing things to mentally harm my mother, and my mother is my best friend. She's the best person in the world. She was the closest person to me when I was going through a lot of things, and she's the best mother any person could ask for ever. I wish everybody could have a mother like my mom. So when I heard about all those things, I'm like, how could she do that to such a great person, And it made me kind of not like her. So it took me a while. I had to talk to God about forgiving her and stuff. And after I guess semi got over all of that stuff, it became cordial. But as she's been living with us, my grandmother's Pentecostal, and our household, we're Christians. We don't believe in religions. We don't believe in different dominations either, Pentecostal, Apostolic, Baptist, Methodist, Lutheran. We don't believe in all of that. In the Bible, it said the followers of Christ were Christians, and that's what we are. It's not Christianity. That's man-made as well. Jesus never spread Christianity, spread the gospel. Yeah, that's what it was called. And he called us to be holy. He didn't call us to be, join this big group of Christianity. And all of the other denominations came from people in the Bible. Like Baptists came from John the Baptist. And, there's something I just don't get. Apostolic came from the apostles. Pentecostal came from the day of Pentecost. It was a feast, not a religion or a domination. It was a feast. I'm not sure about the details of the feast. I know that I've learned about it, but I don't really remember it that well, so I'm not going to add or take away any words because I don't want to teach anybody the wrong way. I'm sorry, I feel like I'm out of breath right now because my stomach is just full. Well, no. Okay, so like I was saying, since she's been living with us, she feels like Pentecostal is the truth and everybody else is wrong. So she looks down on me and my family's faith. She debunks our faith. She makes me feel like I don't know anything because I'm younger than her. She told me that even though I was baptized, because we all never spoke in tongues, we're not saved. And that's just buffoonery, honestly, because you don't have to speak in tongues to be saved. Speaking in tongues is a gift, and I know that because I read about it in the Bible. Speaking tongues, interpreting tongues, healing, prophesying, preaching. Those are all gifts, and not everybody has them. God said that we all have different gifts, but we are one body. He said that you can't tear your foot. Since you're not a hand, you don't belong to the body. You need your foot and you need your hand. But that's what I read about speaking in tongues. But my grandmother feels that since we haven't spoken tongues, we're not saved, and that's the gift we should receive to be saved. And that gets on my nerves, honestly. And another thing she says is like, she thinks she's perfect, and she thinks that you have to be perfect to get into heaven. And the Bible clearly states that nobody reaches the glory of God. But we are saved by God's grace. Nobody deserves to go to heaven, but we get in because of God's grace, you know? And nobody will die sinless. Nobody is sinless. The only sinless man I know is Jesus Christ. Only sinless man I know. And yeah, she thinks she's never sinned in her life. And you know, that's irritating in itself, but because she says that, you know, you expect her to try to be as perfect as possible, but she doesn't. You know, she has her boyfriend come over and they argue a lot, and it drains the energy in the household. She complains a lot. She doesn't know how to be a guest in our house. You know, it's almost like living with a roommate, an introverted roommate. She never comes out the room to come down and hang out with us. Anytime I go with her somewhere, she never really listens to me talking. Like, she'll be daydreaming the whole time, and every time I say something, she'll just be like, yeah. And I understand sometimes people may be going through things, so they don't feel like talking, or they have a hard time paying attention, they dissociate, because I've been through that. But it's every time I go out with her, and she talks over us, and I just, honestly, I'm not gonna lie about it, I said that I didn't think my grandmother was a good person. And because of all the things that I felt coming off of her, it made me rebel more. And I'm not blaming my sins on her, but when she started debunking my faith and talking to me like I didn't know anything, and talking to me like I wasn't saved, for some reason my flesh took it as I should rebel more to make her mad. And that's what I started doing. And it was bad, I'd say. And my soul was uncomfortable the whole time. The whole time I'm just sitting there like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? What point am I trying to prove? Who am I trying to prove it to? You know? And I found myself waking up scared again when I hear airplanes, because I'm thinking we getting bombed because of Trump. Hey, no hate against Trump, by the way. I know a lot of people don't like him, and I'm not really gonna talk about my political views, but politics has nothing to do with me, honestly. And when I say that, people are like, yeah, but it's your life, and this person is determining, you know, how much stuff is gonna be, and what's gonna happen to you and your race. I'm like, no, he's not. That's Jesus' job. What do you mean? I'm protected by the blood. Nothing Donald Trump do can affect my family. You hear me? Anyway, though. Another thing I've been having a problem with my grandmother is, since she's been saying all that stuff about my family, I felt like my family has strayed further away from God. And I noticed this thing because I recently got deeper into the spiritual realm. And the spiritual realm, it's really hard to explain to somebody who's never experienced living in the spiritual realm, but I'm going to explain it to the best of my abilities. So, where do I even start? So, it's like you're seeing life for what it actually is. Your senses are heightened. Like, when you notice sin happening around you, sometimes we don't even notice the sins that are happening around us, or we see it as a regular day, whatever. But when you live in the spiritual realm, you feel the sin. You see the sin, you feel it, and it hurts you. And you feel bad about it. And like, it makes you want to go up to the people that are doing certain things and just talk to them about Jesus, you know? Also, living closer in the spiritual realm, you can physically feel the demons surrounding certain people. You can physically feel when there's demons coming into your home. You can feel the Holy Spirit. I'm sorry, y'all. Just keep burping. Man, Jesus. Just worked out, did some cardio. Like, I don't know what's going on. I guess it's all coming up now because of the cardio I did. But you can feel the Holy Spirit inside of you. It feels like fire constantly moving through your body. And anytime sin is happening around you, it's this pain in your chest. It's like an unexplainable pain. It's not like a chest burn or heartburn or like, it's a different kind of pain. It's like your soul is hurting, you know? And that's what I've been experiencing lately, and it's made me try to be by myself more, because ever since my grandmother been here, I felt like my family has been straying away, and that's been hurting my soul. You know, seeing my family do certain things that I don't expect them to do. I'm not going to explain what those things are, because that's my family's business to tell, but it's just hard watching, you know. So I've tried to be by myself. It's like, I've been praying for my family, like, God, please help us. Please help us. Like, come closer back to you, because my family, they're my biggest helpers. You know, when I was going through everything I was going through, I loved being around my family, even though I was so depressed that I wanted to stay in my room all day. Every time that I came out and I was around them, I always found myself laughing and smiling. And they all encouraged me to get closer to God. We were all getting closer to God together. And then I felt like my family started falling down. And I'm not saying this trying to sound cocky, like I was the only one still up there, because my faith felt dull as well for a while. But lately I've been getting back into my word, very heavy. Been praying very heavy. And I've been having a lot of spiritual dreams that I haven't had in a long time. And this time they're more intense than ever, and the visions and the signs, they're more clear than they've ever been. It's like I can understand exactly what God is telling me and exactly what He's going to do about it, you know. But now let's get to the dream that I had. So this dream started with me in a car outside of my house. I was in there with a guy, some white guy. He was smoking a blunt, and he handed me the blunt. And I was like, you know, I was thinking about when I wake up, I was like, I got work in the morning. I'm going to just take one hit because I don't want to be high the next day or sluggish. Because every time I smoke, I get brain fog, and the next day I'm kind of antisocial and still like trying to recover my brain back, you know. Just like out of it a little bit. Dissociated. So I was like, I'm gonna just take one hit so I can be good in the morning. I take one hit, and feels like reality stretched out, and he started speeding down. I don't know how he was driving fast, because like there's a dead end like right in front of me, but he sped up down where the dead end was, and I closed my eyes because I knew I was about to die. And I didn't feel scared. I just closed my eyes and accepted it. But I didn't die, and when I opened my eyes, we were still sitting in the same parking spot, and I was like, you know, I'm going to the house now. He was like, okay, see you tomorrow. I was like, alright, and got out and went in the house. And when I got in there, something hit me. It felt like a demon had entered me, or I felt like I just did a line of coke or something. I started freaking out. Like, I started going into straight psychosis. Like, is pacing back and forth, saying random stuff, talking about random stuff, the government this, the government that, they watching us. That's what kind of psychosis I was in my dream. You know, I was pacing around my house. I went into the game room where my mom was, and I looked out the window, and there was a water tower next to our house. And I was like, see, the government put that there. When we go to sleep, they gon' flood the house. They're gonna kill all of us. My mom was like, yep. She said, that's why I've been watching them. I was like, see, I knew it. They're gonna kill all of us, I know it. And then I went into my bedroom. My dad was in there sitting down, and for some reason my mom appeared in there too. And I just dropped down on the floor, and I started twitching around, and my head was shaking off fast. Like, I've had that before in my dream. I drop on the floor and I start twitching around like I'm possessed. But I was twitching around and stuff, and I bit my dad on his foot. He didn't have no reaction to it, but I did it. And then I stood up and I started crying. And my mom left out the house, and I ran out there behind her because I wanted to go with my mom. My mom always feels like protection in my dreams, you know. And I ran out behind her, and my grandmother and her boyfriend was pulling up in front of the house. And they got out the car and they started walking towards us, and they left my mom's window rolled down. And I got so angry about that. I was like, a bee's gonna fly in the car. You know she's allergic to bees. Why did you leave the window down? But I didn't say that. I was just thinking it. My mom had gotten in the truck and she said, I'm about to leave. And I ran over to the truck because I wanted to go with her. But before I got into the front seat, my grandmother's boyfriend got in the front seat. And I was like, what the heck? And I was like, get in the back seat, and I looked at my mom. I was like, Mom. She was like, I don't know, man. I don't know. And she backed out, and my anger just grew inside of me. And when she pulled off and started driving, I grabbed the back of his seat and his shirt with it. And I was like, why are you here? Why are you here? Get the fuck out. And my mom crashed the car into a building, and the airbags came up. It didn't hurt at all. Nobody died. Nobody was bleeding. But she just laid there like this with her head down. And I started crying, like sobbing. I was like, I'm sorry. And she was like, it's okay. I was like, no, I'm sorry. But she was like, it's fine. And then all of a sudden, we were in her bedroom. It's like the scene switched or something else happened, but I don't remember anything in between that. But we were in her bedroom, and my mom doesn't have a giant window in her room, but in the dream there was like a window opened up at the top of her ceiling, and it come down like almost like a rectangle. It was a big rectangle, had no blinds, and I can see the sky clearly, and it was a bunch of gray clouds in the sky, and it was lightning, but the lightning wasn't coming down, it was going through the clouds. And it was beautiful, but I was still in psychosis, so it was scaring me. And the clouds were lighting up different colors, like it was red, and when it light up, whatever clouds that it lit up started to dissolve. And then it lit up purple, and then the clouds under it dissolved. And I freaked out. I started screaming, and I was like, man, I just want this psychosis to be gone. And I stood up, and I dropped to my knees, and I put my hands up. And usually, you know how it is when you try to scream in a dream, you're like, ah, ah. It wasn't like that. At first, I loudly screamed Jesus, and then at the top of my lungs, louder than I've ever screamed in a dream, I yelled his name again, Jesus! And when I did that, I turned around and I put my head on the floor, and my mom put her hand over my head, and she started praying. And when I opened my eyes in the middle of the prayer, and I felt like I could see my soul. I could see my spirit through my flesh. And when she was done praying, she said, stand up. And the stand up sounded so powerful that when she said up, I was already up on my feet. She said, stand up. And when I stood up, I felt completely normal. And I felt like I was bigger than everything. I felt so confident. And I looked at her TV that she had on in the room, and there was a warrior on the TV. And when I looked at him, it felt like the spirit went inside of me, and I felt like a warrior. And I smiled, and I woke up. When I woke up, I was shaking like really bad. It was dark in the room, and all of a sudden I was scared of the dark. And I got up, and my sister's heater was on. I immediately called my mom to tell her about the dream before I forgot about it, and I didn't though. But I immediately called my mom to tell her about it. And as I was talking to my mom, the heater in our room was on. It sparked so loud that it sounded like somebody took a marble, threw it at the wall as hard as they could, and it lit up the room. And it started smoking. And I ran over there and I pulled the plug out. I turned it off and pulled the plug out. I felt like if I hadn't woke up in that moment, we would have had our third house fire. And that would have been the second time my room burnt down. First house fire we had, just me and my sister's room burnt down. Everything else was destroyed, was set, but me and my sister's room was completely gone. Our beds, all our dressers, our clothes, everything was completely gone. But that's the first dream I had, and I felt like it reflected the way my grandmother was making me feel, and how I felt, how heavy the demons were as she's been here. And I haven't told my grandmother about that because she feels like she has no demons, in which everybody has demons. Everybody has something that they're struggling with. I'm struggling with nicotine right now, so hard to let go, and it's been getting worse because now when I smoke, it makes me cough a lot, and I've been coughing a lot more. I got a smoker's cough now. That's what they call it. And I know it's ruining my lungs, and I've been telling myself I need to quit. But every time I try to, oh my Jesus, I get so aggravated, and especially now with all of this going on, it's just like, I'm gonna kill myself. I'm sorry, I can't say that on YouTube, right? I'm gonna unalive myself. But I don't think they would care anyway. I mean, whatever. So, yeah. That was the first dream I had. I'm gonna tell you about one more dream, just so you can just get the gist of what's been going on. And this dream actually happened last night. And the beginning of the dream's gonna sound a little bit silly, but in the dream it was real, and all the feelings that I felt in it was real. So first of all, this first part is really nasty. It's a bit, no, it's not a bit, it is incest. But I know it was Satan in my dream because I wasn't thinking in that dream. I was with my grandmother that passed away about, I think it was 6 or 7 years ago now. And I love my grandmother so much. She was the sweetest person on earth. But I was with her in a bedroom, and I don't even want to say it. We were kissing. Okay? Don't talk about it. Stop. Okay? I don't even want to talk about it. I don't know why that dream came to be in the first place. But it stopped because I all of a sudden snapped into consciousness, and I looked down and I was like, God is convicting me right now. I said that to my grandmother. I don't know what she said back to me. It was muffled because I was just thinking about how heavy my heart was now when that conviction hits. I know some people know what conviction feels like, and for those who don't know what conviction feels like, it's like guilt times 10. But conviction hit me, and I got up and I started putting my shoes on, and then I woke up, and when I went back to sleep, I was in my bedroom again, and I was on the phone talking to my best friend, and she was showing me something. I don't know. She was showing me a video of herself, and I was like, yeah, you look so good. Oh my gosh. She was like, thank you. And I got up to go to the bathroom, and I opened my bathroom door, and there was trash piled up all beside my sink. And there was a broom in the bathroom, and it was moving by itself, like it was sweeping the floor. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I just knew it was Satan. Like, even though that sounds silly, I just knew it was him. I knew it was an evil spirit. I turned the phone around and I was like, Naya, look. And she took a screen recording of it. And then I said, Jesus. And then it fell on the floor. And I was like, okay. I closed the door back up. and I went to go ask my dad. He was in the kitchen. I was like, why is there so much trash piled up in our bathroom? He was like, I told your sisters to clean out the refrigerator and take the trash out, but they didn't, so I put it in there. I was like, why our bathroom? Why you didn't put it in their bathroom? Since they did it. He was like, well, you were out here when I told them that, so that's why I put it in there, and I wanted to put it in the bathroom that they always go to. I was like, but I always go to that bathroom. And then I was like, by the way, the broom was in there moving by itself. And then I showed him in the video that Naya recorded. And when I showed him the video, it looked like I was holding the broom. It showed me holding the broom. But the reason I know it wasn't me holding it in the video was because the clothes that the other sleeves to the other arms were a different color than the shirt I had on. So there was 2 hands on the broom. One hand was my hand holding the phone, and there was another hand on my shoulder. And I was like, what the heck? I was like, what the heck? And then my dad was like, what is that? And I was like, I don't know. And then he walked past me to go open the bathroom door, and I whispered in his ear real quick. I said, Dad, please stop letting evil into the house. Evil comes with it. And then he walked past me and opened the bathroom door, and my little sister was sitting in there on the floor, staring at the wall. My youngest sister, she was younger in this dream. She had on a diaper. She was looking up at the wall, and there was a shadow on the wall, and it was changing shapes. And I just knew it was Satan. And we all gathered around the door. Me, my mom was next to me, and my sisters were behind me, and my dad. And we just started rebuking it. We started praying together in unity. You know, like, Satan, I rebuke you. You're not welcome in this house. This house is protected by the blood. I cast you out in the name of Jesus. And in the dream, it was more smooth than that, obviously. I just don't remember what we said. But it didn't feel like I was speaking. It felt like Jesus was speaking through me. And all the fear that I had. Actually, I wasn't scared in the dream at all. But during that time when we were praying, I felt more confident than ever. And as we were praying, the shadows started to fade away. And then I woke up. And those are just some of the dreams I had. I'm going to show you something real quick. Now, I told you I felt like my family has been divided from Jesus lately. And I said a prayer a few days ago. And I asked God to bring my family back together. And I know I've said this before, but my angel number is 111. That's how God speaks to me. That's how He tells me certain things are about to happen. And sometimes they're good things and sometimes they're bad. I can never tell. But usually when it's about a person, it's bad. And when it's about a situation, it's good. And I was watching this random cop cam video when I woke up. Like the next day after saying that prayer. And I took a screenshot of this because it just stuck out. It says, "See the welder coming." 111? Question mark. See the welder coming. Somebody that uses fire. Holy Spirit feels like fire inside of me. To, bring metal together. And it said that it would be an unbreakable bond. I already know what a welder was, but I looked up the Google definition and it just felt so spiritual. It just felt like God telling me that He got this, that He's going to bring my family so close to Him together in unity that it's going to be unbreakable. And I just knew it, And I trust God and I trust that word because I'm not crazy. Like, I've been seeing that for so long, and every time I see it, something's happened, and I try to deny that, it's just a coincidence. But lately, I don't believe in coincidences, honestly. And I trust God with all my heart, soul, and mind. And I just know that He's going to do it. When you pray about something, you expect that thing to happen. When you pray, expect God to do it. And it will happen. because that right there is faith. But I wanted to talk about what I said about my last job, how certain things that was happening there made me like the job less. But I'm gonna save that for another video, especially because I'm about to go to bed. It's 10:37. I'm about to lay down and give me some sleep. Hopefully tomorrow I hear back from my job about telling me when I'm supposed to come in, because I had did my interview and all of that, submitted all my paperwork for my housing and everything like a week ago, and I went up there yesterday, and I was like, so what's the word? Because I had submitted my application, and I got a text from the district manager. It was saying, I didn't receive your application. Did you send it? I'm like, yeah, I sent it. I ended up sending it through email 4 times through 4 different apps. And I printed it out yesterday, and I took it up there so they can have it in person as well. And when I got up there, it was a guy there, one of the college kids that worked there. And he told me, he was like, yeah, they got your application. Just legally, they're not allowed to tell you that they got it until your background check comes back. I'm like, that is the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. So I've been resending it, freaking out because I'm feeling like y'all not getting it and I'm going to lose my job opportunity. The whole time y'all got it and y'all can't tell me because my background check hasn't come back yet. Stop playing with me. I don't know what that's about, but I don't know why my background check is taking so long for. I don't got anything on my background. I'm not a criminal, but whatever. I got the job. They told me I got the job. They told me they love me and they like my personality. Of course they do. Not to be cocky, but of course they do. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people, like, I don't like when people boost my head like that because I don't want to come off as cocky. And I don't like when people, I love compliments, but at the same time, when it's too many, it's just like, well, now I'm feeling myself, and I don't like feeling myself. I like feeling myself a little bit, but I don't like feeling myself to the point where I think I'm better than anybody, and I think that comes from people always telling me that they find me arrogant, and I guess because people tell me that, I'm always worried about sounding or coming off as arrogant, so I try to avoid it as much as possible. But with following Jesus, people are going to call you a bigot, people are going to call you arrogant, and it's all because of your confidence, and it's all because of the confidence the Lord gives you, the way you present yourself, the way you talk to people like you know who you are, and nobody can tell you any differently, and that's exactly how I feel. I know how I am, and nobody can tell me who I gotta be, who they want me to be, because I don't care. As long as who I am satisfies the Lord, what you want me to be doesn't matter to me, and that's that. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm about to go to sleep. Hopefully I hear back from my job tomorrow. I've been working on another film of mine. This is the first one I printed out. I think I talked about this in the last video I posted, Darling Don't Go. I want to tell what it's about, but I'm also scared to do that because I know that my writing is good. And although I don't get a lot of views on here, I still don't want anybody to steal it, This is important to me. This is my life's work. I've been writing stories since I was 12, and it would devastate me if somebody else took credit for the hard work that I put into this stuff, But the first film that I create as well, and now that I've graduated, I can start applying for the jobs that I want while I'm living at this apartment, with film companies and production companies. And also my district manager, when we met, I was working at my other job, and she just loved me so much, she told me to quit my job and come work for her, and that's why I'm here now. but she told me that she had a friend in California who works for BET, and she could hook me up with them. So I'm waiting for that to come through as well, but I'm also searching for other stuff that I can do to also build my resume and to get into the workforce and start creating the things that I want to create. I know I'm going to be working under somebody for a while, and that's okay with me because I'm finally on the right road to get to where I want to get to. Because working those minimum wage jobs, I felt like I was on the wrong road, going up to reach a height that I didn't care about getting to anyway, you know. But now I feel like this work is going to have a purpose behind it, and that's my goal in life, you know, just to have purpose. But anyway, I'm gonna go. My camera's about to die. It's on 0. I don't know why it's still on, to be honest. But good night. Have a good night. God bless you. And I hope you sleep peacefully. And I hope you wake up tomorrow and see another day. And I hope your day is blessed, just as blessed as my life has been lately. I love you. Good night.